Blake, it's been quite a while since we've had a chance to sit and talk about a new film of yours.
Yeah, it has been.
But it's good to be able to sit across from you and talk about what I think will be a big hit for you guys.
Oh, I'm glad you do.
Oh, come on. Don't you think when the word gets out?
Well, I hope so. I've become a cynic about hits a long time ago. You know, the ones that I really think are going to make it never do, and the ones that I say, well, you know, it's a nice movie, and suddenly they take off. So I don't know. You know, I'm never surprised anymore.
What was your biggest disappointment then, Blake, as far as the film that didn't do well?
Gosh, that's an interesting question. Probably my biggest disappointment, but well, that's hard to say because I didn't expect it to do well. It was a film I did years ago called Wild Rovers, which created all that problem, you know, MGM and Mr. Aubrey and all of that stuff that's past history now. That was a major disappointment. I think one of the films that I thought probably would do better was The Great Race years and years ago. I really thought, oh boy, I've got something here. It's going to take off. It didn't do too well.
I still love to see that on television.
So
when
do
it
I.
plays, I cannot tear myself away.
I enjoy it still.
Yes. And then films that you thought were just so-so and were huge hits.
Well, you know, for instance, I'll tell you a picture that I wished had, The Party was the one that I thought, gee, somebody is going to catch on, and it'll catch on, it'll be a hit. And I thought that 10 was a good movie, but I never expected it to take off like that. You know, I thought it'll do well, but not that well.
Really?
No.
Oh, when I saw that, Blake, I said, instant hit.
Well,
Can't miss.
listen, I'm glad to hear that. I hope your predictions are still correct.
Is Skin Deep in any sense at all, I don't want to say sequel, but maybe a continuation of 10?
Well, I suppose it could be a continuation of 10 in certain respects, but then you could say 10 is a continuation of, and you could, you know, go on and name other films that I've done where I've dealt with, you know, same sort of problems. You know, certainly Dudley's character in 10 was looking to escape into this beautiful female. And certainly John in this one has his problems in terms of women and how he feels about them. Yeah, I guess you could say in that sense that it could possibly be a sequel.
When you wrote it, did you have Dudley in mind?
No. Well, that's not quite true. Dudley was one of the people that I thought of as I sort of went through the process as I was writing. Who'd be good in this, you know? And there were a number of them that I thought might be good.
So how did John Ritter come into it then?
He was suggested. I really didn't think of John as a possibility because I always felt that for this particular role that John was just, he's got that cherubic face, you know, just too young, didn't have the miles on him, didn't look like he was that tormented and or could look that tormented. And Mike Medavoy, Ryan suggested him, and I said, no, he wouldn't work. And then Tony Adams, my producer, came to me and said he had seen John on a television show, The People's Choice, one of those. He says, he's got a beard, take a look at him. And so I called him up right away because I've always wanted to work with him. And he came over with this beard on, and that was it.
So the beard got it.
The beard got it, yeah.
Now I see a whole bunch of actors out there now
Growing
rushing.
beards. But it did something to him, don't you think?
Oh, yes,
Really
yes.
amazing what it did to John. It's some quality that is, for me, almost indefinable, you could say. But yeah, he looks older, he's more mature, but there's something else about that beard that is really terrific.
Blake, the scene that everybody is going to be talking
What
about,
scene is
and
that?
we can't go into any detail here on television, in family viewing time,
I
certainly
see.
not. But just, it's such a unique scene.
Yes, it
not
is.
to mention bizarre.
Yes, all of those adjectives. Yeah.
All of the above. But, you know, how does one come up with an idea like that?
Well, of necessity one comes up with it, I guess. I don't know where inspiration really comes from. You know, you've got a storehouse of junk back there probably, and if you are faced with the problem that I was faced with a guy who was obviously sexually involved a lot, and I wanted to deal with it in a contemporary way where, you know, these things are important today, you know, safe sex and all of that. I thought, well, how do I deal with it? And I want to deal with it in a humorous way, even though it's very serious. And so I probably spent the night digging through that junk, and suddenly one was just flying in the attic. Next morning, it floated into my vision, and I said, "Oh, okay, that'll do."
You've been quoted as saying that working with John Ritter in this movie is the best experience you've ever had with an actor. Is that a correct quote?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Better than Peter Sellers?
Oh, yeah, much better than Peter Sellers. I mean, there were
In what
great,
se-
enjoyable moments with Peter, but Peter was, you know, a serious problem at times, and some of the worst times of my life with Peter. The only other person that you know, and when I say the best experience, I mean, I'm talking about the best total experience, you know, from beginning to end. There have been actors that I've worked with, you know, have been great fun and great high points, and probably I would say that John and Jack Lemmon would probably be on a par in terms of experience. But the thing that makes it almost better with John is because he's so much like me. You see, we're kind of identical twins. I have a feeling he's my illegitimate son. And
Have you told him?
oh yeah, sure, yeah, and he denies it, but with a twinkle. I think he suspects that that maybe Tex was just a beard and bearded father, and I snuck in there somewhere.
Has Mrs. Ritter heard about this?
If she didn't, she will now.
Blake, it's always good to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Nice
so
talking to
much.
you.
And I have to get in just a little plug for Julie Andrews, your wife. Tell her hi for me.
Oh, I will for sure.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.